Welcome to the IslandStats football show here on this Sunday, September 27th. We've had Premier and First Division matches take place over the weekend. We're due to be joined by Danica Gibbons and Coach Keita. Right now on set with me is Maceo Deal and Garrett Punchy Deal. Gentlemen, it's been a weekend of activity in the local front of football. Obviously, last night it was the Premier Division match where Dendy Town Hornets defeated the Devonshire Cougars 2-0. And then today, a bit of a surprise with that score line between PHC and Robin Hood, as well as Southampton Rangers getting by Crossroads 2-0. That score with Robin Hood and PHC was 6-1 to Robin Hood. And of course, North Village Rams edged St. George's Colts 1-0. And over at the National Sports Center, Somerset Trojans defeated the Devonshire Colts 2-1. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about the games that we all saw and parts of the games that we all saw. And we're going to bring in Danica. Welcome, Danica. We're going to talk a little bit about the games that we have already seen today. We'll start with you, Maceo. I know you had a chance to see a bit of the First Division match and then the Premier. But let's talk a bit about the Premier Division matches first. The beginning of North Village and St. George's Colts. A bit of a concern for North Village because they played. This was their third game and they hadn't scored a goal. And after 45 minutes of their game today, they still hadn't scored. But what did you think about the team and how they progressed through the game?
I think right now what North Village is lacking is a rhythm. I think Kenny's struggling to understand what is the best start 11. You would kind of see that with Rai Simmons starting today, and he didn't start the previous games. You know, I know there will be some concern about Rai's fitness. So North Village is historically a rhythm football team. They play off a rhythm, and you can see that rhythm that rhythm with North Village is actually not there. I also think there's a challenge for Kenny to decide as to what is the best position for each player to create that puzzle piece and that rhythm. So again, North Village is a historically attacking team, which Gary Punchy Deal would know a lot about, and that attacking force is just not there right at the moment.
Yeah. Danica, you got to see a bit of that North Village St. George's game. Overall, give us. I'm not quite sure if Danica can hear me. Up. Yeah. Can you give us the?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Can you give us your opinion on the performance of St. George's in that match against North Village today?
I thought they started off pretty slow at first, and then for a while they were chasing Ron Village for a while. But I mean, overall, being they just come back up, I thought they played pretty well.
Yeah, Punchy, you've watched a lot of football over a period of time. Looking at some of the performances of late, give us your synopsis of we're only starting the season, but what you've seen thus far.
Let me get back to talk about North Village. I think we've got a very good coach with Kenny. Our system is good. I think what we're lacking is quality, especially in certain positions. North Village has always thought about producing quality players. I think at times, right now in North Village, there's a problem in terms of our quality. I still think at the fullback position on the right hand side, I think was just if you would have saw the game against Rangers, you would have thought, well, where's North Village good players? I thought that's what we're lacking. There's the systems in place, but I think the quality is not there for us. Even today against St. George's, at times after 20 minutes, St. George's should have been 2-0 up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even against Somerset, when I watch them, there's a lack of quality. Let's say they come out of the back, the system that Kenny plays, but after they get past the halfway line, there's a lack of quality, which must be turned Kenny's head. He must be pulling it. I know it. I tell you that. That's what Norfolk is at right now. Um, that's what I feel we're pretty sound in the goalkeeping department, but we're really there's a lack of uh, just quality in many facets of our team.
Right. Keto, when you first heard, or have you heard that the PHC Zebras went down in their first match 6-1 to Robin Hood, what does that make you think of? Keto, did you hear me?
I'm
Did you hear me,
sorry.
Keto?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I thought it was addressed to Danica. My apologies.
Yeah.
PHC have lost two pretty talented players that probably carried their team.
Mhm.
Now they just gotta find a way to get back to how they played before. Coming up against a Robin Hood team that's pretty talented. I think that um, PAC are gonna have to find themselves. If not, it's gonna be a pretty long season. I think that they have a change in the coaching department as well. So everything is new right now for PAC, and they're gonna have to work through these next couple of months. But I have no doubt that they're gonna find their rhythm. I have no doubt that they have some talented young players there, players that have come through their ranks that have played together um, before. So now it's just trying to fill that void that Sequoia and Trey Ming left. And once they're able to do that, then I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Punchy, you look at a score line such as 2-0 between Southampton Rangers and Crossroads down at Garrison Field, and you watch Southampton Rangers play in their first game, going into the season,
Very impressive. Very impressive. With the
they pick up.
additional, yeah, sorry, very impressive. I was very impressed by what I've seen with Southampton Rangers thus far. The work rate, the quality is, I think, for me seeing all the teams that I've watched this year, I think Rangers are showing me that they're probably the better of the bunch. Jomar, I got hands up to Jomar Robeson. He's doing a pretty good job. But what I think is going to be the problem is most of the teams that are going to play against them have to have a good definition of how you defend against them. They're playing a short passing game. They look like they know they're very organized. So my thing is that I'm being really, one of the top teams I would pick to be winning stuff this will be Southampton Rangers. Definitely.
Yeah. Danica, you said wow when you heard the score between Robin Hood and PHC. Early in the season, I don't think there could be any surprises of what the score lines will be, especially when you have young teams playing. The match at National Sports Center, you probably had the two youngest teams outside of Dandytown. Yeah, outside of Dandytown. The two youngest teams in the league go up against each other, with Somerset coming out on top 2-1. Any surprise in that scoreline, Maceo?
Not really, right? Somerset, and Dios Seymour. You know, he understands that the culture of the Premiership and their Premier League, right? And this will be their second year there, where I think Colts will be still wowed by the fact that they're in the Premier League with those young players, and Somerset's players are equally as young, but they're now got a year's experience under their belt. So it is not surprising to me that they was able to overcome Somerset. I mean, overcome Devonshire Colts in this game, and that's going to get challenging for Colts now as they look to build their confidence. They needed a positive result with this first game to build their confidence going into their future in the Premier League.
Yeah. Also, Keita, you watch a lot of men's games, but you handle the women's side. But when you start looking around and seeing what coaches are trying to do, especially early in the season, what are the games that you have seen? How do you now project a season for some of these clubs?
Well, I'll speak to Somerset. As Maceo mentioned just now, he said, pretty young team were supposed to be relegated, but then that changed when BAA dropped out, so they ended up staying in the Premier League. And now with Coach Dennis, very good coach, haven't had a season to groom them. I expect a lot of great things from Somerset. Danny Town having a young squad, their young goalkeeper, you cannot count him out. Malai, he is very talented and very humble. I think he is going to have a big season this year. North Village lost 3 key players in Keishan, Troy Tucker, and he went over to Robin Wood, and the other 2 haven't retired. So there's a lot of gaps in there as well for North Village. And as Uncle Punchy said, they have to now get some quality back into that team, and I'm sure Kenny will be working to do that. I think a lot of the clubs, we've gone away from basic football. I think that we're trying to play some football at a level that our players are not ready to play. Like, we have players that can't pass 10 yards. We have teams that can possess the ball for 4 or 5 passes. So sometimes it's really hard to watch. But I think that, this season is going to be a very interesting season. Me personally, I feel that Danny Town is a team that's gonna hang up there and be a team that needs to be challenged. Rangers have again some talented players. Drew Mars brought in some good players. Rangers has always been their worst enemy. By mid-season, second half, they end up imploding. And that if they can keep their heads and continue to play, I think that they're gonna do well.
Yeah. I must comment on the match that I saw. I saw the first half of the Somerset Devonshire Colts game. Both teams trying to play a lot of football on the carpet, only because there's quite a bit of a breeze. So, and we all know that the stadium is one of the fastest in the world when you start talking about once the ball starts to move up there. And the youngsters, they had the touches, but just lacked that ultimate finish. Now we got 3 goals in the second half, but obviously those 2 young teams still have to find a way. Somerset and now got 3 points, 3 more than teams such as St. George's, the Devonshire Cougars, and Devonshire Colts, as well as PHC. So once you start falling behind now, after 3 games, it's going to be tough, because although it's a long season ahead, you still have 3 teams going down. Punchy, would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good, very good, Earl. Yeah. When I saw Somerset. I've seen Somerset when they play against North Village. I think the inclusion of having Larry Smith there as just a little something to think about. He gives you all the right answers. Trust me, because I played under Larry Smith, so I know his organization. He could spot talent right away. If you trust me, he can. He does, and he knows that. The coach at Somerset just got to listen. Like, I think a lot of these teams, not about North Village, need a little more seniority in terms of management of construction of the game, which I find. I always talk to my niece and I talk to my nephew. I went to England. I spent 2 years in England, just studying the structure of the game. And I find that a lot of times here, I think the coaches are getting much more. They're getting much smarter. They're starting the game more. What's lacking here now is the quality of players that you're getting the information to. And I think that's what Kenny. I think that's what's happening with North Village. And I keep picking on North Village, of course, my team. But this discussion has got to be had. What is the quality of the players that you are coaching? And the coaches are getting much smarter. They're starting the game more. Do you help the quality of the players? Robin Hood, quality, of course. I think Rangers, still quality. I think St. George's are still going to have to find their way. What the decision is going to be like, how they're going to play. I think they should be a much more counter-attacking team. That's what I think about them. And Denny Town, I watched Denny Town against Cougar. I thought Mr. Kwame has an idea of what he wants to do, but still a lack of that quality. And I was really impressed with Cougars also. Yeah, I was. I don't know who's coaching them. I don't have a clue who's coaching them. But I was impressed with what I've seen the other night against them. It's just about, again, organization and quality. This country has to decide what type of football we're going to play, how we're going to coach those under 10s, from the under 10s to the under 13s, the quality, the technical ability of the players is paramount. By the time they get 15, they've got to have quality. Now, the reason I'm saying this, sir, because I told my niece and I told my nephew, I'm going to say this again. My studying the game became like a philosophy of the game. I seen when I was over there in Bournemouth with my grandson, when Sampdoria came, small players on the 18 teams. Now I'm gonna make this quite clear to you. They were less physical than Bournemouth, but the technical ability was just like whoa. They lost the game 5-2. So I asked the coaches of the Italian team who spoke a little bit English, what is it what you do? He says, you know what we do from the age of 6 to the age of 13, it's all about technical ability. Now that used to be paramount in this country. It seems like it's going away from that. And that's my personal opinion. But I think like I said about that, Earl, quality. And you got to understand something also. I'm gonna make this I'm gonna make it short. The most important aspect of our country going to another level is what we do between the ages of 6 and 13 years old. Technical, we have to make a conscious decision in this country how we're going to play this game and how we're going to coach these kids. We can't just send anybody to coach these kids. Right. So that's the point. Anyway.
Okay. I'm actually going to now go to a coach in the group, and that's Nikita. Nikita, those are some strong points. And you've had the women youth and senior team for quite some time, but looking at you've had time to kind of adopt a style, and one of the things that Punchy was talking about was not only the way they play, but understanding, giving that message. Now, as a coach, not everybody gets that same message the way you want it put across. So as a coach, do you have to change your way of delivering to certain players?
Not necessarily change, but I really, Uncle Punchy hit the nail on the head, and we do discuss this every time we see each other. There's not a time that goes by that we see each other that we don't discuss. And when I spoke earlier about the basics, that's exactly what I was talking about. We have gone away from teaching. We think I don't know if you think it's beneath us to coach or to teach that technical skill, but I've seen, the first I watched West Ham warm up, and it's the same. They touch on it. Teams that came to Bermuda to play against us, they were doing the simple chest foot, thigh foot, you know what I mean? Those basic things. My son's on the 13 team. I coached it once, and I gave him that drill to do. And my girls at under 15 were doing these things so easily, and those boys at 13 years old, 12, 13, had a tough time doing it. Yeah, they're not confident with the ball because they have very little technical skills. So because they have very little technical skills, the next part, the tactical part, is always going to be difficult. Yeah, it's always going to be difficult. So as Uncle Punchy said, between 6 and 13, that's their impressionable years. Once they hit 14 and stuff, they've already developed the bad habits. Mason has said it a million times. You have, I can't remember, he calls me one of our cousins. I don't know, Kofi or Jamaica, one of them. The bad habits that they had at 15, they had the same bad habits at 25 because they were not corrected. And a lot of times we feel that if we have a player that's at a decent level or a better level than some of our other players, we almost don't even coach them sometimes. And I think that's wrong. Yeah, because they're not World Cup winners yet. And I think that we have to really the game is not that difficult. We make it so much harder for our players. The game is very simple. But if we don't have quality, then it doesn't look pretty. And we lack quality because we lack those basic technical skills. I didn't go to the game today. Uncle Punchy, did you go to the game?
Yeah.
How many times are our midfielders able to consistently hit that 25, 30-yard ball out to the wide players? How often do you see that? It's those little things, that we have to make sure that we get right. Because once we get, I was watching USA. USA played Costa Rica back in Philadelphia. I think it was 2015. And I'm watching in their warm-up. That's part of their warm-up. Their girls pinging the ball from the center circle, wide, left and right, and that player is taking the ball out of the air and making something happen. Our kids can't do that 10 yards. Some of our boys, some of our girls cannot drive a ball 10, 15 yards consistently hitting a target. So there's so much work that we have to do in that technical before we can move to having these large tactical. We have all these great tactical ideas. And I'm like, guys, my mom can play if I just give her these tactical stuff. When the ball comes to her, what's going to happen? Nothing. Yeah, because I haven't taken time to give her the tactical side. And I think we miss that so much. We just get to training, we do a warm-up, we do a component one, we go into phase of play, we go into small side games, and we try to coach 11v11. And we're not fixing a lot of things that need to be fixed. So I'm very, very, very strong on that. Spending time developing tactical skills.
Yeah. Danica, obviously, with Hamilton Parish defeating Vasco 8-1, they've kind of put a claim that they're going to be one of the teams pushing for promotion this year. How would you evaluate their performance? I mean, anyone reading 8-1, everybody says, "Oh, a good game," but sometimes you score 8 goals and you really don't play well.
Well, actually, I caught the second half, and from what I saw, I thought they played really well. They knocked the ball around good. Argue,
We're breaking up, sis.
they weren't the argumentative players that I'm used to seeing, and on top of that, I mean, there's new players that we got. I thought they blended in and gelled in well with the other players that had come there.
Maceo, over at BAA, Flanagan's Onions went down 4-1 to Boulevard Blazers. We know that Boulevard have quality, but as Keita indicated, they're kind of their worst enemies themselves. If they can keep it together, they have some talent that could actually bounce them right back to the Premier Division. Would you agree with that? Can you hear me, Maceo? Well, why don't you take that, Punchy?
Okay, you can hear me, can't you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm watch Boulevard Train a lot. I watch them. I do a lot of that. I just scouting, watching the training sessions of a lot of teams. I saw Boulevard Train last year. I wasn't really happy with what I saw. So I already knew that they were heading south, as they say. They were heading south when they were up last year. The structure of the club is still just like a lot of clubs in this country. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be critical of a lot of stuff, but it's a structure that's most important for this country, for the survival of this country. You can't have Boulevard with about 2 or 3. The structure is still not in place. So that's my point. I know, I forget Ian Cook, what the coach, the guy, what's his name?
Yeah, Ian Cook. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, yeah. Let's say for instance, if this was in Europe, Ian Cook would be playing instead of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
He should be. He's good, yeah. But I don't think. See, they ain't got nobody else to take over their team. So that's what happens in this country. You're asking somebody like Ian Cook to play and coach, and it's still young. It's a coaching. I'm not taking nothing from it. But that's my point about Boulevard. Okay. Yes, they will probably they will win in that division. But as they come up, it's always about the structure, development. That's what we still are suffering from in this country. And I'm saying to you that I keep telling you, it's not with my niece and my nephew. What I learned in England. What I tell you for truth, Earl, what I thought I knew about football, I knew very little about. And I do have degrees. I do have coaching certificates, but it's about the structure and the continuous structure, detailed structure of the game. And that's where we're lacking on and off the field.
Right. Yeah.
I can if I can piggyback quickly off of that, Harold.
Sure.
Obviously the message came out yesterday that Paget is now not going to even have a team. And from teaching up in that area for a very long time, I understand that they compete with PAC, but as you said, structure is key. So PAC have a much better structure that Paget aren't able to. Majority of the boys that play for PAC came from Paget Primary. You understand? So it's structure is key. So now now they obviously don't have a youth structure, so now they're not able to filter into a senior team, which is it's pretty sad. Weren't they even in the Premier or close to Premier League not too long ago.
They were in the Premier Division
In the Premier League.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah, to go from being in the Premier League 2 seasons ago to not even having a team for 2 seasons is, I mean, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, if you even look at a team, because we had the shocker of BAA being in the Premier Division and couldn't field a team and had to kind of drop out of the Premier Division. When you look at that, that's kind of got to be concerning at times. Even if you have 11 players leave, where's your program? Where's your youth program? Where are those guys knocking on the door to actually take up the spot? Even if you go down, but you got to have something in place in order for your team to kind of continue. Danica, I want to come back to you because you said something that kind of piqued my interest. The fact that the arguing of Hamilton Parish, they are one that for years have had talented players. But as Punchy keeps talking about structure, the coach spends more time trying to calm the players down before he can even get them to play any type of football. And now you have Sergio there. Obviously, he's putting his stamp on things. Where do you think they will? Do you think they will continue on that vein, or can you see if they don't have the proper result, things kind of creeping in?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's only the first game. It's Hamilton Parish, anything can happen. But I mean, they look good. Like I said, I mean, I didn't see really too much, like from what I'm used to seeing in the past with them, as far as the arguing and, giving constructive criticism, as, we would say. But I didn't see everybody was, to me today, I really enjoyed and their attitudes and everything. I mean, it was,
Let me ask you this, Maceo. How do we as a community playing football kind of help the self-destructing clubs, especially the players on the field? How do we address that?
Yeah, that's $1 million question, right? And it needs to be the first part of addressing it is us collaborating as a country.
Thank you.
And us letting go of our sort of territorial behaviors. So coming together and all their stakeholders properly collaborating as to how do we move forward. Now, I'll give you a bit of history that got sensitive during the Boulevard era when Lou Matthews was the coach of Boulevard. I mean, the president of Boulevard. When I was at North Village, I had proposed to Lou to join forces with North Village. Him coming on our executive, and because there's an idea that there are too many clubs and too many football clubs in Bermuda, so it saturates the quality of administration. It saturates the quality of players. So you saw Vasco today had Gary Ray on the field. Gary Ray is like 1 years old, and while he is able to hold his own, that paints a serious picture. So the real key, I don't think one of us have got the answer. The real key is learning to cooperate. That's the skill that I've seen that we lack in Bermuda, that, cooperating throughout the ranks in Bermuda. So if it was a one-word answer for me, I was saying learning to cooperate and learning our different skill sets, make up one team.
Right. Punchy, for you, looking back at the times that you were playing, and just the attitudes of players, how do we kind of get ourselves back in that way of thinking for local football?
That's a good question. Very good question. As I told Maceo, my nephew and my niece, that at the time we just raw talent. But then, lucky for me, when Norfolk won the Triple Crown, there was Larry Smith, who really organized us. I think Larry Smith came from, the Devonshire Colts era, the tutelage of Donald Dane.
Yes.
So he kind of fixed us. We were pretty good, but he fixed us. He kind of like sharpened us up. I think what happens is, I say this, sir, we're a small country, right? Let's say we are like the Dutch in a big environment. The Dutch, you know, what have the Dutch done that has produced so many great players or a great system? Imagine Bermuda being like that, taking that philosophy and saying, yeah, we're small, but we can overlook the small things that need to be corrected. I think what has happened is so many loopholes. We just can't we overlook too much stuff. So I was kind of like studying the history of the Dutch philosophy, and even though it's turned around, but I'm saying maybe we have to have a good philosophy in this country. We have to have more seniority in the coaching fraternity of these clubs. The clubs got to be run more as sporting clubs and not fashion clubs. Do you understand? So what I'm saying to you, in order for us to go to another level, we got to still think about the country, our country. What are we going to do? The club, they've been giving money. They've been giving money. How do they constructively use that money for us to go to another level? And again, we have to kind of look at, well, the Dutch, who we're going to play like, who we're going to think like, who we're going to organize like. And I think that's a good idea to at least start from. And maybe somebody else might have a different opinion, but we're just a very small country. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Organization is most important, not at the senior level, but at the junior level. That's right. When I was in Bournemouth, and I keep saying to Maceo, my nephew and my niece, what I learned just studying the game. The kids at under 7, under 8, they played a very constructive game. Now, technically, they're a little bit inferior to the people from the islands, but they were constructive. Even at that level, they knew what they had to do. So that means, who's coaching that? My problem is, when we go watch this level at under 7, under 10s, we have to be much more constructive, because the information they get, they retain it much better. And that's what we do have very good players in this country. We just have to make sure the people that's giving them information at that age group, it's not just a guessing game.
Right.
That's it. I'm just saying, that's what I keep saying. Our organization, where we're going as a country.
Keaton, let me ask you this question, because you've been in all sorts of football for quite some time, and especially as a coach, fresh from a player. But what Punchy is saying is looking at everybody coming together. How many times do we get to a point where we'll have two clubs say, let's try it this way, and then a third club say, well, no, I'm going to continue to do it my way, and refuse to collaborate? How much frustration can it be when you're trying to pull everyone together?
Oh, as a national coach, if everyone collaborated, my job would be so much easier, right? Because then we would have everybody be on the same page and we can move forward together. The thing is, different clubs have different philosophies. You know, some clubs work developmentally, some clubs work winning only. And winning has its place, right? But I think that what Uncle Ponzi is saying is so correct. I think we also don't spend enough time in stuff. The coach would go and do a training session on Monday, and he sees the team again on Thursday. And guess what? It's a new session. He doesn't even know if the players learned what he tried to teach them in Monday's session. And then we move on, and then we get frustrated as coaches because, didn't we go over this? But we get it. We understand it. But we don't see it from the player's perspective. And so there's players that's playing that very constructive football. They're not playing that constructive football because what they were taught once. They was taught that over and over and over. So when that age group, those players move to the next age group, they know already what they have to do. That next coach knows that he can build on that, but then they spend time teaching these guys these skills. Collaboration would be lovely, but everyone has to have the same goal in mind, and that's just not going to happen in this country. You know, right now in my own academy, I have under 17 girls that are coaching. People are looking at it that I'm just took all these under 17 girls to coach. They're not looking that I've taken this under 17 girls to coach because I want to sit back now and watch and not have to coach. You know, I have a lot of players, but you know, they're coming because we train a lot. We spend a lot of time. Like we have a curriculum, and like the stuff that we're teaching these young girls now. From my youngest is 6, my oldest is 16. They're learning these things for the next 4 or 5 weeks. We're not going to switch it up on them and give them something else because we need to know that they can master this. And that's how they're going to get the quality that they need. Yeah, we don't spend enough time playing football in this country. That's the other part. I see Andrew now. I had one of my son's friends over the weekend. He's like, we train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays we do board work. Now that's maybe not ideal for every club to do or be able to do, because coaches have other jobs. But in order to do better, we're gonna have to step our game up.
Yeah. Maceo, we've seen the creation of the coaches, what is it, the coaches committee or coaching.
The Bermuda Football Coaching Association.
Yes, the association. Yes. How over the last few years, how has that group coming together helped the game progress?
Well, I think it's only helped from a perspective of qualifying coaches, but we have to appreciate that qualifying coaches doesn't make you a good coach. It makes you say you're capable of learning. Now we have to go to the other conversations that are being had in this conversation. What does the country want to do as a philosophy and a style and a way of football, and how do we build that? How do we build that into something that is Bermudian? So the coaching association has a great platform to be able to implement and influence that, to build that Bermudian culture of football that feeds into our national team. Because think of it from this perspective: we know that all the kids in Bermuda that went Technical Institute, what they was able to do with their hands. We know all the kids that went to Berkeley, what they was able to do with their minds, because that's the system that they went into. So we need to create a system of football that the outcome is consistent to what Bermuda is looking for. So right now we're two, I'll give you this story from this perspective. I sat in a room with North Village maybe 20 years ago. You had, you know, some of the leading minds in North Village. And what was amazing for me at North Village, that we all thought of our football at North Village in 6 different ways. So imagine what Bermuda thinks of the football in. We think of it in 50 different ways, and then we confuse the kids with that. So we have to have these difficult conversations from that perspective to decide what our football should look like, and then build a framework to implement it.
Yeah. Tanika, you hear these guys talking about the philosophy and what we need to get to, but you watch a lot of sports, and it's always one of those things where it's my way or it's our way. How do we get out of that and let's do it together way? That's for you, Danica.
Say that again. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. You hear these guys talking about philosophy of one way, but you have a lot of people, whether it be a president of a club or coach of a club, says I am doing it my way. How do we break that? How do we bend that?
Well, I think we should. I mean, come together, like as a club or the coach and committee and all the there's people, and sit down and probably more or less talk about it. And like Maceo said, I mean, everybody thinks has so many different ways of doing things, and probably just try to decide to come to one agreement.
It makes you. I have to ask you, because you said you sat in a room such as that. But when you start talking about going to meetings, you've been in meetings with various clubs, whether it be the coach shows up or the president shows up or some executive show up just to avoid being fined or being absent. Do you think there, when the association's having meetings with clubs, there has to be more consistency of who shows up and what their role is to take the message back to the club?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Are you hearing me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I give you our country and what it looked like to get on the same page. Let's take Belgium as a country. Uh, and we know the players that Belgium is producing now. They actually got the status as number one in the world, for us a country. Now, when Belgium built their system, all the top clubs were the ones that rejected that system because they was used to dominating. So the lower clubs actually embraced the new system. They embraced the new system of, building their player. So slowly the top clubs said we need to join in on this, in this. So their older figureheads in Belgium were the last ones to join in. So the smaller clubs joined in because they had nothing to lose and they needed to build players. So we have to just put it in place and then allow that progress, allow that time for people to join in. Now it took Belgium 5 years for everybody to join in, and then it took them another 5 years to produce the players that you see today. Now think if Bermuda did that, we're a little bit smaller. We could take less time to join in, and we can actually take less time to build a player that we're looking at. And it's not far fetched because I mean we sit here, we've got Ponchadillo's grandson and Remy playing for West Ham. That's a premier club. That's a big club. So it's not far fetched that we can build a player. But we just have to start to put together the framework, what it looks like to build a player. And then it becomes systematic.
Yeah.
It becomes very systematic that we get to the next stage.
Yeah. Punchy, you had a stint at St. David's coaching. And obviously you come up through the North Village ranks of playing and understanding the philosophy of all that. When you go down to coach a team and you're taking that idea of how you want to play, how difficult is it at times to get through those players, what you want to accomplish in such a short time? Because as we've all indicated, you go training on a Tuesday, you might go training on a Thursday if you get the same players. And then, you're pulling your hair out on a Sunday because, nothing that you've actually put in place is actually working.
Yeah, it was that was a real learning curve for me at St. David's. I was I was kind of pushing. Maybe I wanted more for them than they wanted for themselves. And I was like lucky pitcher, God bless his soul. I thought he's older, but I depended on him a lot. But that's something that I had to learn. Again, I was still young at coaching. I thought I just organized St. David's. I did a lot of good organization at St. David's. Even the management helped me out a lot. When they didn't have lights, I needed lights. I need change room. So that was a good start. But we didn't have the quality again. I remember even inviting David Bass to come play for us, but we struggled. And so when they start losing, then players start showing up, of course. But it was a learning curve for me. I think that was also told me that what I need to do as a coach to study more. And that's what I'm so helpful. I'm so glad that we're having these conversations now. Like my nephew, my niece, and Danica, I think your name, Danica? Yeah. About, these conversations must be had so that we can actually act upon them, have a conversation about it. I'll give you my experiences, and they weren't all that good. I thought when I first got my coaching bed, I took over North Village. Yes, we won, but I was still learning. I think with the young coaches now, there's so much more that they can do, but they still need direction, and I think the direction should come from the association. Yeah, and they need people like Maceo. They need people like Nikita. Nikita, bless your soul. You've been in the national program. It's not been easy, but we need these conversations. And whether people agree to disagree, but we got to have this for this country. And that's all I got to say. I'm glad, Maceo, you invited me to this talk show. But like I just do my homework. Just go around watching teams train. I watch teams. Just watch teams train. Watch the coaches that are. Like at Kwame and out there at Dennytown.
Yeah, Kwame Steve.
So I've been watching him. Yeah, very enthusiastic. But he's still got a learning curve to do, and that's all we can do. We just got to keep learning a good philosophy, good organization, and our people that are at the top that are willing to make changes and ask the questions. Why we're not doing good? Why we still suffer from organization? We have to have. Listen. We have to have athletic clubs. We have social clubs now. Like Maceo and I have this conversation all the time. We've got to be able to kind of separate that. If we're going to start competing especially in the area that we're in. Whether it's gonna be against Jamaica, because at times we used to beat Jamaica, we used to beat Trinidad too. Yeah. So we have to start thinking about what direction we're gonna be going in. On a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, people like Maceo and the kid who come to a game, they want to see a constructive game organization, because that's the level that they're at now. That's what they want to see. And that's what I know.
Yeah.
That's why I do have a conversation with them all the time. And you can talk about football all the time, but a lot of times it don't change. It's our organization that we have to be paramount of being, this is not good enough. We need this at the junior level. We need smart people. I mean, that's what it is. That's that's what I believe in.
I'm going to come back to you, Maceo, because you were saying earlier that Kenny needs to do some work. It's going to be a struggle because of so many lost players. But you've seen North Village play a few times already. If you were in his shoes, what would be one of the most important things you would have to do right now to kind of steady the ship?
Well, me being in Canada, if I was at North Village, the thing that I can see, I can deal better. I think I deal with their player that is not well behaved. Let's use that word. The player that's always on edge. I know how to get there. I know how to tweak that player and what position to put that player in, what information that to put that player in. Now I know Kenny and his philosophy of football. He has a very high level of respect for that player that has the level of discipline that is looking for, the level of commitment. Me, I would reverse it and to see how I can make that player be committed. What can I do to make that player be committed? And it could be I might buy him a pair of boots. It could be very very small. I could do psychologically to get the player to compete. But again, I think that gets back to me at North Village at least understanding the culture of that person there and how do you enhance that culture to get performance. And when I look at Kenny, his culture of football is different really from North Village culture of football. So how he sees the game is different from how North Village sees the game. Yeah. So that's kind of, and it's like I think I would be a coach that would struggle at PHC because I see the game different from how PHC see it. So I would go up PHC and I would struggle. Yeah. So those are things that are happening kind of island wide with each coach, with us not having a clear identification what our style and culture of football looks like. So
Peter,
Kenny's a coach,
yeah.
or he's actually a very good coach in organizational piece, but it's now we've got to get to the human being piece. How do you persuade the human being? How do you let, and the word I want to use, how do you let go of some of the rigid behaviors to embrace different pieces of a footballer?
Keita, Maceo brings up a good point where if a coach goes to another club that has this way of playing, how do they adapt? You as a national coach, you get all those different components coming in. How do you make it gel? Because it becomes a challenge at times, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, key, and I think what Maceo is speaking about is building relationships. Yeah. So he builds relationships with those players to get a better understanding of them. Once you build a relationship with a player, then you can actually get them to buy into what it is that you were trying to do, especially those not well behaved players. You have to be able to manage. You have to, no matter what, even in the girls' side. Like it's some girls at training I can say certain things to that I can't say to others. So it's about building the relationship and just understanding them. So no matter where they come from, they're all gonna learn technical skills and they're all gonna understand the style that we're trying to play. And we keep it as basic and simple as possible because the game is not difficult. Yeah, I think that sometimes we try to give them information that's way above them. But if we just keep the game simple, give them the information, and have your expectations. I think no matter where you go, I think you'll be able to coach. But I understand exactly what Macy is saying. Different teams in Bermuda have different styles, and different way of looking at the
No,
game.
we've had this.
One correction, guys. I'm sorry. Ian Coke is playing
Crossroads.
at Crossroads. He's not
Yeah,
coaching.
he was no. Punchy was talking about last
Yeah.
season. He
He's
saw
not
him coaching there. Yeah, he was
Oh,
talking about
gotcha.
last season.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Now we got about 10 minutes left.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
what I'm gonna do, and we'll do this each week, and we'll give the results and all. We're gonna go down and look at next week's matches, and
Okay.
you will have a pick to see who you think will win those matches, whether it be a draw, a home win, a loss, or a away win, and so forth. And then next week we'll give everyone the results, and then we'll do the same thing the following week. We didn't do it last week, but we'll do it this week. So coming up next week on October 3rd, which is going to be a Saturday at 9 p.m. over at BAA Field, it's Robin Hood versus Somerset Eagles. Somerset Eagles will be the first game of the season. We'll start off with you, Punchy. How do you think that match will fare?
I give Robin Hood a nudge for that. Just equality. I just think you're looking at maybe a 4-1.
Okay.
Robin Hood's
Danica?
favor, definitely.
I see a draw.
ACO?
Robin Hood for me is going to smash them. I saw Robin Hood and PHC play today, and they bullied PHC. They put 6 in PHC, and I think with Somerset Eagles being their first game, I see Robin Hood being able to put 4 to 5 goals past Somerset Eagles.
Coach Keita?
Yeah, Robin Hood, definitely not. Denton's doing some good work up at Somerset Eagles, but I just think that Robin Hood is just a team that's and they play also on Wednesday, so I'm hoping they go sleep Wednesday. But Robin Hood for me.
And I'm going to take Robin Hood as well. And then on Sunday, we have in the Premier Division, we'll stick with the Premier Division, we have Devonshire Colts traveling to PHC. And we'll start off with you this time, Nikita.
Devonshire Colts.
Okay. Maceo?
PHC, I think with Devonshire Colts' young team and PHC's young team, this is where PHC gets the opportunity to kickstart. So I'm picking PHC.
Okay. Danica?
I'm saying PHC also.
Okay. And Punchy?
I think the Devonshire Colts. I think Devonshire Colts 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta give the coach here. I give him a little edge. Mr. Coach tried to steal from his Raider.
Right.
Mr. Coach tried to steal from his Raider. Yeah.
And Ray has done a good job with Devonshire Colts and that young team.
Definitely.
But I think I'm gonna have to go on the leading side of PHC for that result. Yeah. So, and then Devonshire Cougars travel east to Garrison Field to face Crossroads. We'll take you, Punchy.
Oh, that's all right. I think I'm going with Cougars.
Okay.
I'm going with Devonshire Cougars. Yeah.
Danica?
I'm going with Devonshire Cougars also.
Okay. ACO?
Devonshire Cougars most definitely. I saw him play the other night against Dennytown. They got unlucky because they bossed and bullied Dennytown in the first half. Formay just made some really technical decisions halftime to change that match around. But definitely Devonshire Cougars.
And Nikita?
Devonshire Cougars, yeah.
Okay. And it'll be all 5 Devonshire Cougars. And then the next match is St. George's Colts are home to Somerset Trojans. And we'll start off with you, Danica.
I'm gonna say St. George's.
Your heart.
Punchy?
It's kind of a hard one. Not a hard one, but I'm really good friends with Freddie Hall and Ernest Signor, who are the senior partners in that team.
Yes.
I thought St. George was very organized today, but they still lack. The seniority in the team is still lacking up the front. I expect more of LaShawn Deal and Clay Darrell. So with that, I always say that when you're home, I told Miss Painter today, you got to try to map out, can we get a draw? at least get on the point. So I'm going with a draw on that one.
Okay, Maceo.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Punchy. Is going to be a draw. Somerset doesn't have the firepower to really open up St. George's. St. George's, it looks like a team that's going to make themselves a little bit hard to beat. So I'm going with a scoreless draw.
Okay, and Coach Keita.
I'm good with Somerset.
Okay, Danica, I'm going with you. I can't go against. I can't.
So, but come on now, you know.
I wouldn't be allowed back across the bridge.
Me neither.
Next game and the last one in the Premiership for next weekend will be Southampton Rangers are at home to the North Village Rams. Well, I could almost tell you I know where two of these people are going, Danica. Let's start with Punchy.
Southampton Rangers. They put almost 9 goals in the last 3 games. How many goals? We ain't scored no goals against them. They put 4 against us the last game of the season. They put 5. Like, that's really, we're going to be struggling up there. And that hurt.
Yes.
We haven't scored no goals against them.
Right.
The 4-0. So we're talking about what? Let's manage 3 games against them. There's 270 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We can't score against them. And so, no, I don't know. I see what Ken is going to come up with, because I'm just looking at the Southampton Rangers game. Maybe I'm looking at them victorious to 3-0,
okay,
or 3-1.
Okay. Danica?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say Rangers.
Okay. Maceo.
Yeah, definitely Rangers. I've watched Jamal outsmart all the coaches in Bermuda. He's outsmarted Kenny a few times. He's outfoxed Kenny a few times. I know Kenny likes his way of football, and he's not going to adjust that way of football just because he's Lord. And Jamal knows how to win, and he knows how to tweak things against each coach to win. I've seen Jamal do it to Sean Goder, Carl Lighthorn, and he'll do it to Kenny again this weekend. Rangers 2-0.
Keita?
I can't call that. I'm going red and white. I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to be the only winner.
I think that's definitely a bias.
I'm going to be the only winner next week. And I haven't seen any football, right? I'm on a state.
I'm going to do some Rangers as well.
I'm going to give Kenny a call in a few minutes. Hey, right? I had
You're
your
going to
back.
take these sessions this weekend, eh?
Yes, definitely.
All right, now we turn our attention to the first division. Island Rangers are at home to St. David's. Both will play their first games of the season. As we know, Island Rangers were due to play Paget, who dropped out of the league on Friday. And then St. David's had a bye, so these two will be playing their first game of the season at Malabar. And we'll start with you, Coach Keita.
St. David's.
Okay.
Not because St. David's. My support with Lugo. Now it's Sammy.
Listen. We knew you was getting St. David's, just like we knew Danica's getting.
I throw my support behind Coach Aaron.
Listen, the number of people that ran up just now and they had to hear whether you can take St. David's or Island Rangers, we knew. Maceo?
St. David's.
Okay.
St. David's for
Danica?
sure.
I'm gonna take it as a draw.
Oh boy. Okay. Punchy?
St. David's. Lugo, just like Sergio Goda, young up and coming coaches, organization, it's not that strong in that division. Let's be serious about that. Yeah. Right. So if Lugo can organize St. David's, they'll be all right. Just like I said, but I'm going with St. David's for better organization under Lugo.
Mm-hmm. I know early in the season, Island Rangers tend to play a little better and they're first starting out. But if a team is organized at the beginning, and I think with the imports that St. David's have picked up this season, structurally, I think they'll be better. And I have to go with St. David's for that particular match. And then you have Boulevard taking on Vasco over at BAA Field. We know Boulevard put 4 past the Flanagan's Onions. and Vasco conceded 8 goals. So this one should be an interesting one. How we pick it, Punchy?
Boulevard.
Okay, Danica.
I'm gonna say Boulevard also.
Okay, and Maceo.
Boulevard's gonna have too much quality. Boulevard's at their level right now, and they're gonna have too much quality for Vasco. So Boulevard.
What are
Okay,
those?
I'm gonna take Boulevard as well. See, Coach Keita got summoned out of the room because she was about to pick Island Rangers, but now she's back. Coach Keita, Boulevard at home to Vasco.
Boulevard.
Okay, and the final first division match for the weekend, we'll see Hamilton Parish taking on Young Man Social Club at the Wellington Oval. Big field. Both teams are coming off of victories in their first matches of the season. We'll start with you, Coach Keita. I think she's going offline. Maceo.
Hamilton Parish will beat most of the premier teams now. Sergio had those guys very, very organized today. The style of football, he's got the players in the appropriate position. Hamilton Parish has this young kid that's developed in the UK named Jordan, I believe is it. He's playing inside left and inside right. He's actually super, super smart. You could see his body structure. He's super, super fit. And like I said, I think Hamilton Parish will beat most of the premier teams right now. So Hamilton Parish will beat Social Club on that bigger field on St. George's.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you now, Coach Keita. Hamilton Parish versus Social Club at Wellington Oval. Sorry?
I was asking Mason who he said was super fit. Who was
Hamilton
strong?
Parish. Jordan Otterbridge. From Hamilton Parish. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's Hamilton Parish for me for sure. I just know that Sergio has taken something to Hamilton Parish, and as Mason said, they're probably in a good position to probably beat any Premier League. Hamilton Parish.
Danica, I know where you're going.
Definitely with the Hot Peppers.
Peppers, yes, indeed. Coach Punchy?
But it's definitely Hamilton Parish. It's definitely Hamilton Parish. Sergio, Sergio is not gonna. He's learning, but like Maceo said today, the destruction of that score line today was an indication of what he's done, what he's about to attempt. I think Sergio is gonna make a really good coach. I'm glad he stayed down in that division so he can learn more his organization. You also the Hamilton Parish is always a good club. It's a family-oriented club, isn't it?
Right. Yes.
But again, structure. I think I hope Sergio brings that to them, and I think he will. But it's not a tough. Remember, it's not a tough league.
Right.
Yeah, you're not gonna have you count on your fingers how many really good games they're gonna have, tough games they're gonna have. But like Maceo said, we'll see because Sergio looks like he's got something there. So we'll see. I just think that I think I'm already getting in for promotion already.
Right. And for that game, I'm going to take Hamilton Parish as well. But before we go, I do want to extend our well wishes to Clay Smith, who was due to join us on the show. Unfortunately, he is unwell at this time, and I think I, like the rest of all you and Bermuda, want to wish him all the best and a speedy recovery. He's in our prayers, and we hope to hear from him or his family very soon with some positive news. So I do want to thank you all for joining us this evening for the football show. We'll be back next week Sunday with a look at those results. What you guys picked, and let's see who's the week 1 winner in week 2 of football. So from myself to all of you, do have a good night.
Thank you.
You too, Al.
Thank you very much, Al. Thank you, love. Thank you very much.